So let's talk today. Before I go into what I'm going to share, forefather asked me what I was going to share. When I was getting ready, I was realizing that today, and I just was typing it in today, the date, I don't know, maybe it stuck out to you guys, but today is May 25th, 2025. So 5/25/25. And it just hit my heart something different this morning or the other day when I was writing it down. And Father said, "Hold on, wait right here. You've got to look at this before you finish up what you're doing about Sunday and what you're sharing." Today's date, 5/25/25. There's 11 fives in today's date. 11 fives. And if you add 25 plus 25 plus 5 together equals 19, and it equals 10. If you to its smallest number, 10 or 1. 10 or 1. And I felt like today there was something very specific Father is wanting to release into our lives, or let loose. Maybe that's better to say it. Thank you, Father. There is something very specific Father is loosing from within in today that is part of today. And I just want to take a real quick second. I looked up the number 10, which, I'm sure there probably every single one of you on this call could probably do even more thorough of an explanation and a dig into the number 10 than I did. If I'm looking just at Hebrew, which I don't want to honor the Hebrew living letters and all of that. But I know that's just the tip of the iceberg. But let's just take that one little sliver of things. The number 10 or 1 is either a yud or an aleph in the Hebrew living letters. The yud represents or speaks to us about the essence of creation, the divine spark or the seed from which all things emerge, the infinite potential. It represents the hidden or unseen aspects of the divine. Now, I want you guys to hear this in relation to what Father said, which is, I am releasing from within you something very unique and specific that actually will shift and change a multitude of things for every single one of us on this call, in our lives, in our personal world. Okay. So again, we're looking at the living letter Yud, which equals 10. It's the 10th letter. It also, Yud, represents or speaks of God's essence beyond comprehension. All of that is Yud. And if I look at the number 10 in its simplest form, which is the number 1, right? Ones and zeros. The Aleph speaks of the silent breath. Of course, we understand it speaks of authority, it speaks of oneness, and all of those things. But Aleph, the thing that stuck out to me the most was the silent breath, oneness, the absolute unity of God and man. It is literally the place of singularity of the divine. You and I, in oneness in Father, is literally the singularity of the divine and function as such in the earth. Not just in the earth, but in all of creation. The Aleph has no sound of its own, but carries only breath beyond form. Aleph moves, functions, has its very existence in the capacity that is beyond form, beyond framework. Are you all getting this? It is the sound before all sound. That is Aleph, the breath that gives all life. And if I put those two letters together, Yud and Aleph, do you know what word I get? There's actually a word, and maybe y'all already know, but it is the word Yah, and it means Lord. The Yud and Aleph, the number 10, the number 1, the very thing that is today is Lord, Yah, God in intimacy, the indwelling divine presence. That reminded me of the one thing that came to my mind, Exodus 15:2. Yah is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. The Lord, Yah. So the number 10, the number 1 speaks of divine order, completion, promotion, and restoration, representing the creative power, divine order, and wholeness in you, in me, in every circumstance, situation surrounding us. The oneness of heaven and earth together right here. You are, your physical being is the manifested presence of the oneness of heaven and earth, the very place that heaven and earth exist in oneness and unity. You, your physical being, body, soul, and spirit, is the manifestation of the divine in the material world. You are where the infinite emerges and is expressed. Let that sink in. You, your being, your body, everything around you is exactly the place where the infinite emerges and is expressed. Amen. So I want you to keep all of that in mind, okay? Because this morning, Father asked me to share about might. And he brought this verse to my heart, Deuteronomy 6:5. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And some translations, it replaced the word might with strength. Now, I just want side note, this is truly just a side note. I know many of you have on this morning participate. Last year we had a class. It was a year-long class with my friend Lisa Hoover. She wrote a book called The Divine Love Shift, and it was absolutely phenomenal. I know there's a bunch of people that are going through it for a second, if not a third time, on their own, because it's so powerful. And it's in regard to the word love, or the word, that word love right here in this verse, Deuteronomy 6:5, is the Hebrew word ahab. So if you've got the book, keep going with it, going through it. If you've not, if you didn't get to either participate in the class or you've not purchased the book, you can find it on Amazon, Lisa A. Hoover, and it's called The Divine Love Shift. I would highly, highly encourage you to get it and just go through it. One session, one chapter at a time. It is profoundly excellent. Today, we're not talking about Ahab, though. We're talking about might. Might. Deuteronomy 6:5 is the first place that this word for might is used in the Bible. And it's not the word as in you could or you would do something. It's the word for strength, right? Might, power. And the Hebrew word for might is meod, M-E-O-D, a mem, aleph, and dalet. Meod, in its simplest form, is defined as strength or, of course, might, but it carries a weightier, wilder meaning than how we've defined the word or used the word might. The definition is described this way for the word meod: muchness. I loved that word. I think I'm going to actually incorporate muchness in my own personal vocabulary. Muchness, abundance, exceedingness. Y'all, this was literally in the Blue Letter Bible. It is not a noun in its original form. It's actually an adverb, an action, modifying the actions. But it means very greatly, intensely, exceedingly. All of those for this word meod. It is the energy of amplification. Meod, might, is the energy of amplification. Again, keep all that I'm saying in context and in your heart and mind, holding what Father said about today, what is being released from you, what is shifting and changing that will never return to the way things were as of today. Okay? Meod, might, is the energy of amplification. It's the actual intensifier of existence. The root word meod is ood, and it means, get this, y'all, firebrand. That's the root word of the word meod. Firebrand. It reminded me, and I'm sure many of you have seen it. There's on different social media sites, there oftentimes I'll see this person, and it's a person, a silhouette of a person, and their entire being is lit on fire. That's a firebrand. That's you. So when you and I are called to love God with your meod, you're being asked to love with your amplified existence, your amplified self, your amplified essence. Not only the formed, visible, nameable parts of your being, even using body, soul, spirit, those are all nameable parts. It's not only those things of your being, those aspects of your being, but the hidden potential, the untapped energies, the infinite places and spaces of desire that you are. And all of those things, all of whether it's formed, visible, named, or hidden, untapped energies, the infinite places of your being. Do you realize that you're infinite? It's not just God that's infinite. You are infinite. Those, every aspect of yourself continually, without ceasing, engage with the divine of Father. That is how we're designed. We are continually, perpetually, without ceasing, wrapped in, engaged with, and exuding, amplifying the divine. The surplus of your being, the overflow, the muchness, I love that word, the muchness of all that you are, and allowing that muchness of your being to manifest and be expressed, that is might. That is meod. Might is the divine intensity that exceeds containment. You can't be contained. You can't be boxed in. You can't be framed in. How many of you on this call this morning, oftentimes you feel like I have just got to get out of the boundaries that continuously want to hold me in and stifle and make small? There's a reason for that, because you aren't that. You're infinite. And that infinite spills from within you love that transcends form. You know, we actually assign to things like love, assign to words, assign to truths, to aspects, to I don't even know what the right word is. Things like love and might, strength, power, authority. Remember, last week we talked about power and authority. We assign to them definitions or ways to explain them, but we do understand they transcend definition. They transcend human meaning, human framework of definition. They transcend form. Might, miod, transcends form. Because miod is the unquantifiable aspect of your essence. It's unquantifiable. We can give hints to it, like the word ahab, like the word love. We can give adjectives, even adverbs that give us an idea of how to actually touch it and describe it, like we're feeling around blinded. But it is unquantifiable. Mayod, might, is unquantifiable because it's part of our essence. It's the creativity, passion, and stretches beyond the limits of our ideas of what we've considered it to be able to be contained within. Because it goes far beyond strength. It's far beyond power, because it's infinite. It is the part of you that reaches for God even when your heart feels empty or your soul feels spent. Mayod is to love with all your heart, with your emotion and your will. To love with all your soul is to love with your breath and your being. But to love with all your mayod, your might, is to love with what you've not yet experienced of yourself yet. To love with what you've not yet experienced of yourself yet. What is yet to be made manifest from you. What does that even mean? It is to actually, the mayod is to love with your infinite potential. What is yet to be made manifest out of you, from you. Back to what's being released and open today. Remember? To love God with all of your might, with all of your mayod, is to say, Father, I give you not only what I am, but what I long to be. I give you not only my measure, but my immeasurable. I give you the parts of myself that do not yet exist in my current experience. I give you my potential. I give you my becoming. I give you my entire being, my entire infinite expression of being. Mayod is the offspring of expansion. Might is the offering of expansion, the surrender of your perceived or imagined limitations. Do we realize that our quote unquote limitations are exclusively and strictly imagined and perceived. Because you and I are infinite, like our Father. That is the place, the space that we have our meaning. That is the place in the space where you and I have and get our defining. And Mayod is beyond that. It is infinite and unlimited. You could paint it like this. Mayod, might, is the overflowing chalice, the overflowing cup. It's the offering that cannot be measured. The place in space where you and I have not yet arrived, have not yet experienced. You know, the priests of old saw Mayod as an invitation to serve God, not with moderation, not with holding back and what is the word I'm looking for? Like holding on to yourself and presenting yourself in a stately posture, containing yourself, containing your emotions. That's why we read about David dancing into the tent. There was no moderation there. That is a fantastic picture of Mayod. Excess, muchness, abundance, and even exceeding love. You know, we have allowed the word, even I think Sylvie yesterday or sometime this weekend asked a question about the word holy on our signal group. And in so many different contexts, humanity has been it's been painted the picture for us. Holiness looks like something very put together and very contained, almost to the point of floating above the ground, but in a very contained, elusive posture and place. Restrictive, no emotion, much moderation. But that is not might. That is not Mayod. Because might, Mayod, is all about abundance, overflow, muchness, beyond our understanding. This is the exceeding excess that love is. The fire that burns past the borders of duty, of shoulda, coulda, woulda, of needing to hold on to yourself, contain yourself. It is the firebrand. Mayod, might, is a firebrand, the dance that erupts beyond rhythm, the gift that exceeds necessity. Mayod, might, has a voice that sounds like this: give not as much as you can, give more than you thought you could. On every level. Give not as much as you can, give more than you thought you could. This more is not born of striving. It's not born of performance, of shoulda, coulda, woulda, but it actually lives out of the place of the infinite, out of the place of the overflowing love. Mayod is actually the mystical truth that when you turn fully toward the divine, you actually expand. And I don't mean to say that all of us aren't in that posture already of being turned into. But even in what today's date is, 5/25/25, what is being expanded from within you and I that we never even contemplated was there or even knew to ask for? It's literally that place, Mayod, might, is that place of discovering your divine, can I say it like this? Your divine elasticity of being able to move with Father in ways you've never even contemplated. Kind of like Teresa's Polynesian dances. I am sure that people that are watching her dance are thinking, oh my goodness, if I could move like that, if I could bend like that. That's divine elasticity. Moving in ways that you've never even given yourself permission to do because you never even thought it was possible. That's one of the things that, as we've talked over the weeks, months, years, actually now, that religion does is puts a framework of this is all you can do. This is what it's supposed to look like. Just stay inside these bumper rails and you're going to be safe. But that's not Mayod. I promise you, that is not might. To live from might is to recognize that you are a being of abundance. This isn't about or focused on possessions. It's not about possessions. It's about the unlimited, infinite, divine that you are. It's about the capacity of the infinite that you are, not about control. You and I are made in the image and likeness of the infinite divine. So the infinite divine is who you are. And not just, it doesn't just dwell inside of you, within the margins of your known self. Let me say that again. The infinite does not simply dwell within you, within the margins of your known self. We believe that because that is an unspoken, subconscious, or even unconscious way that we've learned to see ourselves. But that is false. You are infinite. You are the infinite divine. Your being is the expression of the infinite divine. There is no place that Father ends and you begin. You literally cannot find that anywhere. He is infinite, you are infinite. He is the infinite divine, you are the infinite divine. Yeshua said it best, when you've seen me, you've seen my Father. Or you could say, when you've seen my Father, you've seen me. So the infinite does not just dwell within you, it is you. The full expression of you, not just the known expressions, but even those things that have yet to be expressed from within you that are actually opening up today. You know, when Yeshua speaks of the kingdom within, we talked about that so many times. The kingdom within, he's actually speaking about Moed. Meod, sorry, I got that wrong. Meod. He's actually speaking of the muchness of heaven that is not a far off domain somewhere. We've learned the physical behavior of reaching out for it somewhere out here. Even the way we raise our hands in worship and praise, as if reaching into heaven and pulling something down. And unfortunately, even as beautiful as those worship songs are, it's actually led us to have a subconscious perspective that heaven and Father is out here somewhere, and I'm grasping to touch, to feel, to be a part of him. But all of that is a false structure, because my being, my physical being internally, the kingdom within, and all of myself is the muchness of Meod, is the kingdom within, is the kingdom of heaven. It's not a place outside of ourselves. It is the abundant, super abundant nature of presence that is our being, the one we can see with our natural eyes, and our being inside of us, the very kingdom inside of us that is unlimited, infinite. Which makes perfect sense how muchness, Meod, might applies and describes might. That overflowing place in perfection in life. The kingdom within, Meod, is the rain that waters what is not yet bloomed. Meod whispers, breathes, waters everything that has not yet bloomed inside your life, from inside of you out. It is your yes to the unknown. It's your yes to the unknown. It's your yes to the fruit of who you are in God. How many of you, quick question, and you can just answer this for yourself. How many of you are comfortable with the unknown? I know I've said it so many times or shared about it, and we've talked about it off and on over the years, but the year I turned 50, my family, all I wanted was a trip, a birthday trip. And I didn't want to know anything about it. And I've shared that with you guys so many times. And of course, it was so much fun. I just highly recommend it for every single person. It was so much fun because I didn't want to know anything about it. I wanted it to be an absolute every single day, every moment of every day, stepping into the unknown. I wanted it. And I have had over the years, as different people have asked me about it, or somehow it's got, it's brought up or said or whatever, how crazy I am that I would actually invite a trip like that. But do you realize that you and I are built for the unknown? We're literally built, designed to embrace and breathe life to give life to the unknown. That is how we're made. So, if that's true, let's just give Kym the benefit of the doubt and say it's true, okay? If that's true, and any of us are afraid of the unknown, afraid to say yes to the unknown, or shy away from the unknown because it's uncomfortable? What are we preventing from being manifested and released? Just curious. Like, if you and I were to totally let go of all inhibitions to lean into and say yes to the unknown being made manifest from you and I, what would be seen, known, and experienced in the earth, in humanity, that has never been seen before? Because you and I let go of the fear of the unknown, let go of all of those things that hold us to the framework of the familiar. I dare to say that today, May 25th, 2025, is our invitation to say yes to the unknown, to say yes to everything that is longing in Father's heart to be released and manifested through you, through me, that we've been putting off because of the fear of the unknown, the fear of being out of control. What? The number 10 is actually the mystical seed of faith and trust. The mystical seed of faith that trusts. What? Trusts. And we know we can trust our Father, right? Of course we can. Do you know what the heart of that mystical of faith, that mystical seed of faith says? Pardon me. That mystical seed of faith sounds like this. Are you ready? Are you ready? There is more in me desiring to be revealed because there is more of God. There is more in me desiring to be revealed, desiring to be made manifest, because there's more of God to be revealed and made manifest. Mayod, might, is the agreement with heaven's vision and intention, the agreement of Father's vision and intention. His deep voice of the infinite speaking through and in you and I, speaking within the finite. This body right now believes it's finite, but do you realize that it's not? Why? How is that even possible? Because resurrection realities, because of Yeshua. Father's infinite voice speaking within the finite, speaking not from discipline, not from disciplining ourselves to do certain things and have a process and all that stuff. It literally comes from divine desire, meod, might, infinite, the muchness, the muchness. This is the place in your spirit, in your being, where you, the divine voice, speaks. You, the divine voice, creates. You, the divine voice, releases that sound into existence. Do you realize that your voice, you right now, your divine voice is the same voice that spoke from the beginning, and you continue to speak, let there be. We've learned to separate ourselves and see that as, well, that was God creating all of what we know as creation. But do you realize I mean, Yeshua said it, when you've seen me, you've seen the Father. I wasn't just with him in the beginning. Our voice is one voice from the beginning. Our voice is one sound from before the beginning. Humanity's just not been aware of it in many instances. Let there be. Mayod exists and lives from that place. Let there be. Let there be. So what are you speaking let there be over? Where are you speaking let there be into? What are you seeing in the heavens of heavens, that you're releasing let there be and making space and place and room in the place of manifested substance for that to actually come about? Let there be. Let there be the heart, the very heart desire, divine dance in the place of let there be is intricately connected to might, to mayod. And it is the heart, that very place, let there be, mayod, might, sounds like this. Father, I love you with the more that I am. I love you with my now and with my next. I love you with my seen and my unseen. I love you with my known and my unknown. I love you with my muchness. My muchness, all of my muchness is yours. All of my muchness is yours. Let there be. Let there be. Might, mayod, is muchness, abundance, exceedingness, amplified essence of the unlimited divine that you are, currently are. That unlimited divine amplified in the earth. Might, mayod, is immeasurable. It has no beginning or end. And that is the very thing that Father is releasing and opening today for each one of us. And our invitation is to understand we live, move, and have our being in it, from it, as a back to it, continually releasing the sound, let there be. Let there be. Let there be. Father, we give you not only what I am, but what I long to be. I give you not only my measure, but my immeasurable. I give you the parts of me that do not yet exist in my current experience, I give you my infinite. I give you my expansion and my overflow. I say yes to the unknown. Amen.